Hi guys, this is Carissa here from the Dragon's Gem. Today we're going to be learning how to make and to sew 20 gauge copper wires for using as nose guards in your masks. We're going to cover some tips and tricks for common problems that you may run across while you're making these, as well as when you're trying to sew them into your masks. And before we begin, I just have a quick announcement. I do have one contest that has just ended. That'll be for the butterfly sun catcher with the labradorite. You can visit my website at thedragonsgem.com to see the announcement as to who the winner is, or you can check my Facebook page and you should see that there as well. If I had your email address, then I emailed you, but more than likely, since it's YouTube comments, I don't have your email address and you need to message me. So please claim your prize if you're the winner. Second contest is for the sun catcher wind chimes, which is this right here behind me. This has been extended. Really pretty sounds. All handmade copper, wood burning, pyrography, fire art, plexiglass striker, hand cut and polished copper pipe, and up at the top is a butterfly sun catcher. So I made a mistake with that one. When I posted that video on YouTube, I accidentally put that the contest was running from 4:10 to 4:11. That was not the case. It was supposed to end on 5:10, which is today, and I have extended that contest by 2 weeks. It is now going to be ending on May 24th, 12 a.m. and Pacific time on May 24th. So you still have time to enter. Go to thedragonsgem.com/raffle. Link should be popping up right down here, and there are links in the descriptions as well. But go visit the website. I've added a raffle copter to it. That'll give you more ways to enter and win. So you can now get entries to win the wind chimes for free. You get 5 entries when you go through the raffle copter and you follow me on Facebook. Because of technical difficulties, I thought Facebook was going to let me export my followers list and everybody who was already following me was going to get an entry. Facebook won't let me do that. I apparently had looked at outdated information and they no longer allow you to do that. So go to my raffle copter, follow the Dragon's Gem on Facebook through there. If you're already following me, go ahead and click on that. It should still count it because it'll see that you're following me. You'll get 5 entries for that. Follow me on YouTube, you'll get 5 entries. Again, if you're already following me, click on it anyway. It should still see that you're following me and it will grant you the points. Leave a comment on the wind chime video. Again, if you've already left a comment on it, then go ahead and click it anyway. It should still see your comment and credit you for it. You get 5 points for all of those. You get 2 points for reading with the terms and conditions. That's just to make sure that you're familiar with the rules so that we can all be on the same page. I'm rewarding you for that. And then go visit my Etsy shop. You get 1 point for visiting my Etsy shop. If you buy a raffle ticket for $2, you get 1 entry. So for every $2 you send me through PayPal, you'll get 1 entry into the contest as well. And if you purchase an item through my Etsy shop, for every item you purchase, you get 5 entries with that item. If you have any questions, please leave a comment down below. I'm happy to answer them. Or you can email me at thedragonsgem.info@gmail.com. All the supplies that I'm going to be using in this video I got from Argenta Bead Company, argentabead.com. That is the bead shop that I work at part-time. I am currently laid off because of the coronavirus pandemic. If you would be so kind as to check out their website, look at their shop, If you don't find what you want on their shop, contact them. They'll do video shopping with you. They'll help you shop. They've got a huge variety of items there. Thousands of charms, hundreds of stone strands of gems, like 16-inch strands, really good prices. Glass, wood, bone, tons of seed beads. Most of the seed beads are on the website. They're constantly adding new product to the website. Everything that I'm using in this video is available for purchase on their website, and they're shipping a lot faster than Amazon right now. So do give them a try. They're a small family-owned business. They need your help to stay alive during this pandemic, and hopefully if we all come together and support our small businesses, then we'll be able to continue to support them and enjoy them after this pandemic is over. But if we don't, they can't survive without us. So again, argentabead.com, you can find the wire, the tools, and everything that I've used in this video is for sale from them. All right, so we're going to get into it. I'm going to show you now how to make really simple these nose wires that I'm using in my masks. This is a tutorial that is aimed for somebody who has no knowledge whatsoever of jewelry making or working with wire or tools. It's going to be very, very simplified for you so that it'll be easy to follow. But if you have questions, still please comment and I will help you out as best as I can. And when we get to the sewing section, be kind. I am not a seamstress. I learned what I learned pretty much just to sew masks. Before this, all I did was mend my clothes. So I'm happy to help and happy to do my part. Hashtag a mask for every face. Let's get started. All right, let's get started making our nose wires. Bear with me if I seem a little over-explained or redundant on this. This video is aimed more at people who sew rather than jewelry makers. So if you are watching this because you sew, I'm going to explain everything. Don't worry. Start off with a spool of 20 gauge copper wire. You want dead soft. I believe the CDC is recommending no smaller than 20 gauge. I have found 20 gauge to be the best option. 18 gauge is a little too stiff, so that when you try to pinch and form it over the bridge of your nose, it can be a little painful. And for our nurses and first responders who have been wearing masks day in, day out, we know that their noses are really raw right now, and we don't want to make things worse for them. So start with your 20 gauge copper wire, and you're going to just pop off the cover of your wire, find the end of your wire, and we're going to unspool a section that is maybe about 10 inches long. And then I'm going to brace the wire on the spool with my finger, and I'm going to pinch the wire with my opposite hand between the thumb and forefinger, and I'm just going to stroke. You're going to pull that wire, and your goal is to straighten it. You want to get it as straight as possible. We're going to work out as many kinks as we can. If you can't get it perfectly straight, if it has a little bit of a curve to it, that's okay. We just want to get it as straight as we can. So now that I've got my wire as straight as I'm able to make it, I'm going to measure out 4.5 inches. This is the size that I've found is pretty perfect for making nose wires. Take a pair of wire cutters. You can use flush cutters or just regular wire cutters. Whatever you've got to cut it, it doesn't really matter for this one. Take your wire cutters and cut 4.5 inches from the end of your wire. I'm just going to snip that right there, and that's enough for one nose wire. What I like to do is measure out a lot. That way I can just get a pile going and then go through and work it like an assembly line. Cut and then go on to your next step of shaping, and just, you can bang out a lot that way. So I'm going to put away the rest of my wire that I'm not using by just wrapping it back on the spool and popping this cover right back on my wire. This is my 4.5-inch piece that I just cut, and so now I'm going to take round nose pliers. I'm using a pair of Xuron needle nose round nose pliers, and I'm using a point on the wires that is about 2 millimeters. You can get a pair of calipers to measure this with, or you can get wire cutters that are already marked. But I'm going to go not quite 1/4 of an inch in from the tips, and I'm going to grasp the tip of my wire right there. You can see I'm holding it pretty flush to the top of the pliers. And once I've got it there, I'm going to close my pliers around it, but I'm not squeezing super hard, just enough to hold it. This wire will pinch and bend very easily, and you don't want to have sharp edges inside your mask. So just enough to hold it. And now what I'm doing is I am pressing the wire with my thumb so that it goes underneath and away from me, underneath the pliers and away from me, and I'm bending it. And now that I have it braced against my thumb, I'm just rotating my right hand to rotate the pliers around. So now, this is what I've got. You can see it curls around one of the plier jaws, but not all the way. It doesn't touch. To remedy that, we're going to open the pliers, rotate them, and then we're going to repeat that process of gently holding the wire and pushing with our thumb to bring the wire the rest of the way around until the edge touches the length of the wire. So this is what we're going for, is for them to touch. You can see right there. Doesn't have to be perfect, just needs to touch. So what you're going to do now is repeat the same process on the other end of your wire, and you want to curl it so that it curls in and matches this first one. This is the goal that we're shooting for when it's complete. And that's all there is to it. That's the entire process of making it, is just cutting 4.5 inches of wire and making 2 little curls on the end. Now there are a few problems that you might run into while making these, especially if you are very new to wire and never used it before. The wire is soft. You might bend it and get it all kinked out of shape. That's fine. You can fix it. You'll just hold it in your hands and grip tight and straighten with your fingers. If you can't grip it very well with your fingers, you can hold it with a pair of pliers, chain nose, flat nose, it doesn't matter. But if you hold it in the pliers, then you can just come in with your fingers and straighten out those kinks. And then that wire is now usable. Another problem that you might run into is you might bring your wire around only to have it wind up on top of the length of wire. You might have the tip wind up on top rather than have it touching the rest of the body of the wire. And if that happens, one simple, easy way to fix that is to come in with your flat pliers. And a lot of the times, if it's only doing it a little bit, you can often just squish with your pliers and flatten it. And it is overlapped a little, but it's smooth. There's no sharp ends, and that does work. And that's all I did was I came in there and I smushed it. Now, if it weren't wanting to smush like that, all you'd have to do is grasp with your pliers and then pull just a tiny bit, and then you can smush it down again, and then it will close it. The last common problem that you might have is in the process of making your curls, you might get them a little lopsided. You might have one that's twisting down and the other one's twisting off to the right. If that happens, easy. Grasp each curl in your fingers and just twist, rotate until they're facing the same direction. All right. That is how you make the nose wires and the easiest ways to fix the most common problems. If you run into a problem that I did not cover, please leave me a comment or send me a message and I will help answer them just as fast as I can. Now I'm going to show you how I sew them into my mask. I'm just going to be using a tester sample mask. It's not a... All right, now I'm going to show you how to sew the nose wires into a mask. I'm going to be using just some scrap fabric that I have sewn together to get the type of edge that's needed. I broke my tripod and finished everything off camera because I had some deadlines to meet, but this is a sample of what it's like when it's finished. The wire is right inside my top stitch seam, and that's really just about an 1/8 of an inch. Yeah, about an 1/8 of an inch wide for the top stitch. And the way that I go about doing that is once I get my mask complete and you're ready to go around and do your top stitch and seal everything off, this would be the inner pocket layer, and then here are the outer shell and inner shell. And you can do one of two things. You can either slide your nose wire right inside the inner pocket and sew it so that it's in between the filter liner, the filter pocket, and the outside pieces. Or if you still have the sides of your mask open because you haven't detached your strings, then you can slide it right inside the two shell pieces and pin it right there. And when you do it this way, this is my preferred way, is to put it in between the outside and inside shell, because when you do it that way, you get any seam. I'm sorry, I'm not a seamstress. I don't know the official names for this stuff, but the seam allowance stuff here, if you get it pinned in between that and the outside shell, then this kind of gives you a little bit of a fabric layer of cushion so that when you're forming this on your nose and you're pressing, it's not bare wire pressing against the skin. You've got a little bit of fabric cushion for it. So that's what I like to do. And I sew just the shaped face masks because everybody that I've given them to who wears glasses says that this is the best fit for them. They don't get fogged up glasses. They really like it. So once I have my wire in place, locate the center seam, or approximately the halfway point in your mask, and then just line that up on a ruler, and you're going to put your center seam right on the ruler edge, and then feel 2 inches to the left. You want to feel for the edge of your wire. If you can't feel it, you can bend your fabric, pull your fabric up, and you'll be able to feel where that edge of the wire is. So I can feel that I've got my wire pretty much 2 inches from the center, and that's going to get it as close to centered as possible. So once I know that I have that in place, what I'm going to do is just take one pin, and I know that we're not supposed to pin the masks, but this is just in one spot that needs it. I just pin right through the loop that we made in the wire, and you kind of got to be careful to feel if you've gotten it. You can try scooting your wire. My wire is moving. I can tell that I haven't hit that actual loop that we made, so I'm just going to scoot that back just a little bit with my finger. I'm pushing the wire and I'm putting the pin right back in through that same hole I just made, and now when I move it I can feel the wire is hitting that needle, so I definitely got it in place. And that's the only place that I'm going to pin the wire. When I sew, let me see if I can zoom this out some. When I sew my shaped face masks, what I like to do is I like to start on the bottom, and I'll sew from the bottom down towards the left side of the mask, and then I turn and I go up, and then I turn again, and then I'm coming down from the top. So that's why I pin my wire on the left, because that's where I start sewing. If you were going to start sewing differently and go, you know, up and then to the left and right and around, you want wherever you're going to come at the wire from, you want that to be where your pin is. Because once you've got the seam started from the wire, you don't need to have a pin. You can just use your fingertips to hold it in place. So with this scrap, I mean, this is just scrap, but I'm going to show you how exactly I go across the needle when I sew it. And we'll just go right back in here on this sewing machine. So just for the purpose of demonstration, we're going to pretend that I've just sewn from the bottom towards the left, turned the corner and went straight up, turned the corner again, and now I'm coming down across the top of it. And I'm keeping my seam about 1/8 of an inch. And what I'm doing is making sure that I've got my wire pulled right into the fold of the fabric so that I can keep it in that 1/8 seam allowance. And I'm making sure that I keep an eye on where this needle is. And now I'm slowing down as I reach the start of the wire. And I want to get as close to that needle as I can. And then I'm going to pull the pin out. And now here's where you're going to go very careful over the loop of this wire, because you don't want your needle to hit it and break. Ideally, you want your needle to go through the center of the loop that we made, because that helps anchor it in place. It won't always happen. It's okay if it doesn't, but if it does, great. So you can either go very slow with the foot pedal, or you can crank it by hand. And now I've passed over it. My needle and wire didn't hit, so I know I'm good. And as long as I keep that wire pushed into that seam with my fingers, it's going to be right in that 1/8 seam allowance and I won't hit it. So I know that I can just go at a faster speed down the rest of it. And I'm keeping an eye on where that edge of the wire is, and I'm going to slow down again now that I'm at the end of the wire. My needle kind of hit the wire just a little bit, so I'm just cranking it by hand now to go real slow. And I can feel when my needle comes down, I can feel it's touching the wire, but it's not hitting it straight on. If you hit the wire straight on going full speed, that loop, the edge of the wire, it can push it down inside the sewing machine, and then you'll have to very carefully work it out, and the wire's mangled, and it's really not fun to fix. So please always go slow when you get to the loops. So now I've hand cranked it past that part. I know that it's okay, and I would just continue sewing the rest of my top stitch. And then that nose wire is in there. The fabric can now be shaped as needed. You can bend it right on the bridge of your nose and it won't hurt so bad as using thicker 18 gauge wire. I know I've seen some hospitals saying to use 16 gauge wire, but I don't know why they're saying that, because 16 gauge wire, this is 16 gauge wire, and it does not shape as easily. I'm having to push really hard just to get that around my finger like that, and it just doesn't want to form as nicely and as easily as the 20 gauge does. And everybody that I've given one of these masks to that has the 20 gauge in the seam allowance here has said that their glasses don't fog up. They get a good seal. It fits well. When they breathe, they can feel the fabric moving with their breath because the seal is good. So I am just going to keep using 20 gauge in the nose, 20 gauge nose wires in the seam allowance right here. You do whatever works for you. But that is how I make nose wires, and that is how I sew them into my masks. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment below, let me know, and I will be happy to answer your question just as quick as I can. I do recommend that you try to check out some of your local small bead shops that may sell wire and jewelry tools and stuff. I got all of my things from Argenta Bead Company. I got my wire cutters. I got these round nose pliers, my flat jaw pliers. I've even got some round nose that have the measurements on them, so if you didn't know what the sizes they were, this one has it on there. Like there's 2 millimeter up at the top, 3 millimeter, 4 millimeter. It lets you know where to wrap your wire to get the correct size loop. My wire from them was just $5 for the spool, and you get 10 yards of it. Argenta Bead Company does have an online website. They do have a lot of product added. They sell so many stone beads and glass beads. They've got a wide variety of jewelry making items. Like, look at these. These are some really gorgeous strawberry quartz beads that I got from Argenta Bead Company. $25 for the strand. It's a fairly long strand too. How long is this? This is 16 inches. This strand is for $25. But Argenta Bead Company, they are a small family-owned business. They've been in business since 2002, and due to the coronavirus pandemic, the store is in danger of going out of business. So if you do want to make nose wires and you don't have what you need, before you order from Amazon, please consider going to argentabead.com and ordering your wire and your tools there. If they don't have what you need there, if you want to buy stone beads, glass beads, wood beads, any other jewelry making item, and you don't see it on the web page, go to their Facebook page, send them a message, and ask them if they have the item. The website is a work in progress, and we are constantly trying to add new items. So if you don't see an item on the website store, it doesn't mean we don't have it. It just means that we may not have added it yet. So let us know and we'll get it added to the website, or we'll send you an invoice. We'll absolutely custom shop with you. We can do video shopping, whatever's going to work. But help out small businesses. Check out Argenta Bead Company. Let's try to help keep this company alive. Thanks for watching this tutorial on how to make a nose wire and how to sew a nose wire into a mask. If you have questions, please leave a comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And don't forget to enter my contest. The deadlines are coming up soon. For further details, you can go to thedragonsgem.com to get information about the raffle options for the wind chimes. Thanks for watching. Bye.